Okay, you need about 18 gauge or 20 gauge. This is 18. Black gunmetal. 6mm round bead. This happens to be called West African turquoise, which is actually a blue-green dyed jasper. A really pretty stone. I'm going to take quite a bit for what I normally take for a ring, just to be on the safe side. This is only the second time I'm doing this. I'm going to take almost 2 whole feet. Let's say 18 inches. I think that's about half a meter. And put the stone through, bring it to the very middle of the wire. Put the two ends together, make sure it's in the middle. And then crimp it tight around the bead. You could just like that. Pull it tight and give it 2 twists. 1, 2. All right, got it tight. Get your ring mandrel. Again, if you're having trouble finding a ring mandrel, seriously, get yourself a big fat highlighter, because these highlighters are like, again, I tested them. They're literally right down here. They're like size 7, size 8, size 9, which is pretty much 7 is like the most standard size. And if you can't find that, if you get a Fat Magic marker, this is like a size 4. That's really small, but that'll help you get the round shape. Maybe you can open it up a little bit. Anyway, let's do this. I'm going to do a size 8 on this guy. So put it flat against the ring mandrel. Hold it tight. Squeeze it around like this. All the way around. Keeping the 2 strands together, tightly wrap it around the stone once. Pressing them the whole way to get it tight every possible way. And then taking one of these, you only need one of these. Actually, now that I think about it, I just had an idea how to modify it, but in any case, we'll just go with this. Just push this guy out of your way, just so you get out of my way. Take your one strand and just start pressing. And you know what, this is easier to do off the mandrel. Just pinch it in your fingers and wrap it around your finger like that to make a petal or a loop. Pull it in tight. Now you can make it big or small. Just, you know, get a hang of you know how you like it, and then just wrap another one. And try to get them tight, close to each other, because it looks better when there's not a lot of space in between. And sometimes that requires a little bit of finagling, but and then just keep going with it. Just keep making your petals coming around. They're not going to be perfect. Don't try to make them perfect. Flowers don't even have perfect petals, so what are you trying to make them perfect for? Now, when you don't have enough left to make another petal, or you have just enough left to make one more petal, don't. Take that wire, wrap it around the stone again until it comes to part of the ring, whatever side you're on, and then wrap it tightly. You're holding everything tightly still. Tightness is key. Try not to let it move around too much. Wrap that around underneath, and see how this is wanting to pop up. Squish that back down. Make that come through tight. You can even go around a couple times if you want, if you have enough wire. But what you want to do eventually is tuck this sharp end to the underside of the stone and the wire underneath, so it's in a position where it will never, I'm like bracing it very carefully here because I gave myself very little wire. I could have just went underneath around once, but I went around twice, so right at the end of my wire, and I want it to go right in that crevice, so I'm fighting it. This is where you don't have to be afraid of mangling it a little bit because nobody's going to see under there probably. So see, I have that sharp end sticking deep right in between the metal and the stone, so it's never going to come out. No one will see it. Now this is not completely how I wanted it, So we're just going to push it back. A little with our fingers, a little with the what's it called? Pliers. All right, so now you're going to take the other piece of wire, come around and continue where he left off. Making the loops. It should really be a fluid motion. It should just feel natural as you go from one loop to the next. If you're really fighting the wire too much, then just keep fighting it and try different methods, and eventually you'll figure out how to make it flow. And wow, I came out with just enough. To be on the safe side, maybe just give yourself a couple more inches wire than I told you to. It's probably a good general rule for all these videos, because I always tend to cut it really close. But there we go. And if you did it like me, you'll have about 10 petals, I think. 9. I did 9 that time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Cool, that works. Again, with this last one, wrap it around, and you could pick either side, this side or this side, but eventually I already wrapped it once with this side, so I think I'm going to do this side, and I'm going to cut it because I don't need that much. But come around, I'm going to come around once. Sorry, came off camera. And then I'm going to tuck that guy right in to the stone. You never want a sharp end. If you end up with a sharp end and you can't seem to find anything to do with it, unravel something and reposition it. I don't care if it ruins your piece. Never have a sharp end anywhere on your jewelry, because that's just the most unprofessional thing in the world, to scratch somebody who thinks that they're getting a beautiful piece of jewelry to enjoy, and then suddenly they're bleeding. And I've seen it happen, not with jewelry I made, I don't think, but with some of my colleagues, and I was like, what? I've gotten jewelry, I've worked with other jewelers, I've gotten handmade jewelry from people. First thing I do is be like, nope, you left a sharp end there, you left a sharp end there, we're tucking that in, what are you thinking? All right, so now we have this fun flower, and we put it back on the ring mandrel. Make sure it's the size you want still. This one shrunk a little bit as I was, so it went down to a 7. I'm forcing it back onto the 8, because you can do that if you're not too far off. Now I'm carefully flattening the petals to make it come around the shape of the finger. Otherwise, it's just going to be up in the air looking all silly. All right, so I'm flattening them. I'm being very firm. I'm flattening them from both sides at the same time. You just flatten one side, the other side's going to pop up. So flattening it every possible way. Then I'm taking it off, and I'm coming further to turn. I'm putting an extra bend into some of these, and then some of these are like moving where I didn't want them to, so I'm putting them back, and that helps them lay flat more, keeps them from coming undone. Make sure nothing's popping up over my stone that I don't want to. And then at the very end, if you want, see now this sharp end is not sticking out, but it did come untucked a little bit. I'm going to shove that back in. And then at the very end, just around your sharp edges, I like to put a little E6000, because it's like an extra coating of protection against anything abrasive grabbing that sharp end and making it pop out. Sometimes it'll make the ring a little stronger. And I rubbed out the extra. This stuff isn't really safe to breathe for a long time or get on your fingers for a long time, so as I rub it right off immediately. I get a napkin or something, but there are people who say you shouldn't get on your skin at all, but I'll leave that up to you, because, as well as inhaling spray paint fumes and juggling knives without practicing first, going inside hot ovens without oven mitts, all kinds of stuff. I like to live on the edge. So you guys decide your level of danger you're comfortable with. But this stuff does rub off like Elmer's glue. So it's not like crazy glue. It doesn't stick to you and glue your fingers together. So there you have it. Another, and again, I'm still going to play with it a little bit. Oh, that loop's a little not where I want it. That one's a little not where I want it. But there we have it. This is a rather large one. You could make the petals a little smaller, but I found I had to pull the two ends to kind of stretch it into more of an oval shaped across the finger, and then bend the sides down a little bit more. But you can make it into an oval pattern as you go around it if you're paying attention. But anyway, have fun with this, guys. There's so many different ways to do this.